So today we're checking out one of the most anticipated monitors. It's for good reason. I mean, this thing, it looks nice. I think that matters. This is a thing that sits on your desk. It also has a bunch of different features in it so that it can kind of take the place of your TV as well. More and more people, sort of their main screen is like in their bedroom or in a smaller space. You want to have it be multifunction. So you want to have the display be connected to your computer. You want it to have opportunity to be connected wirelessly to the variety of devices that you have. You also just want to load up like Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever, and you want to have speakers in it, and you want to have a webcam in it. That's where this one comes in. Plus, it kind of looks like other displays you might be familiar with from other brands. Maybe that's not a bad thing. I mean, ultimately, there's only so many ways you can make a rectangle. Some of the slimmest bezels that you're going to see on a monitor, period. I mean, it's very slim and trim. It's called the M8. It is from Samsung, obviously. It's a 4K display and it's 60 Hertz. So it's not targeting gamers or anything like that. For productivity and obviously for entertainment, no problem. It's available in a number of different colors as well. So I have the blue one highlighted, but you can get it in white, green, and pink. The price does change, which is a little strange. So $699 starting price for the white model, and then it goes up 30 bucks if you want one of these fancier colors. Now, there's some other cool features that I've never seen before on a monitor that we're going to see in here, because you get a remote control, which is so much nicer for interacting with your monitor when you want to change a particular feature, function, specification, whatever, like you want to go into the menu system. When you have to reach up and touch the tiny little button and kind of move through menus like that, it can be very irritating. On this device, you could do it from the comfort of your couch or bed, wherever you have this thing installed, and you can see you have dedicated buttons. There's also a very cool webcam contraption. Essentially, what you're dealing with is an entire smart TV with monitor built in. Any feature or function you would expect to find on a Samsung Smart TV, they've brought into this M8 monitor. And then at the same time, you're gonna connect your typical HDMI cable if you just want to use it as a monitor. Kind of standalone, wireless or wired, or both. And you could see a couple scenarios here. Regular humans doing regular human things. Oh, I'm gonna just wirelessly transmit some of my photos in my nice looking office. Screw it. I like to work at my kitchen table, which sometimes becomes my workplace. This individual is just using a mouse and keyboard connected directly to the monitor because the monitor has a processor built into it. It can actually do basic functions, office functions, and web browsing. This person over here is like, I don't even care about anything. I'm just gonna plop this on the coffee table because I live a more like nomadic lifestyle, and I might be here one day and I might be somewhere else tomorrow. These look like vinyl records. When you have all these records over here, you can't have the room dominated by a huge TV. You need a 32-inch so you can just like pick it up, move it from room to room. Flexibility, it's a possibility. Boom, wirelessly connected to the laptop. Okay, cool. You don't need that, no PC. Sick. By the way, it also has voice assistant built in, either Bixby or Amazon Alexa. That lets you use it as a hub for certain other devices, including speakers and lamps. You can use this as your voice assistant, so just shout at your monitor and then have it modify certain settings on your other devices. And the other storyline I want to talk about is just the embracing of Samsung in a Mac environment. You never know how these things are going to go. Is there hostility? I don't like it. Personally, I think things should work together, and I think things are more attractive to me when they work cross-platform. Samsung is embracing the fact that there are going to be iOS and Apple devices interacting with this monitor. Convenient connectivity with AirPlay integration, wirelessly connect Apple devices to the smart monitor to view on the bigger screen. Enjoy your favorite content from an iPhone, iPad, and Mac on the smart monitor, and even mirror apps, documents, and websites. And they're showing off an iPhone. That's pretty cool. And when you think about it, there's not that many monitors that Apple makes that are in this. They don't make a single monitor in this price bracket. That's kind of a nice little touch. If you get the white model here, you're looking at $699. And I think probably Samsung imagines that certain Apple device users are gonna pick this thing up. And so they're like, all right, let's make it work with that, since that's what we might be targeting. If you think about it in the Apple realm, you're either looking at the studio display or you're looking at the iMac, and these things are obviously quite a bit more expensive. Well, in the case of the iMac, you get a whole computer in there, that's fine. I mean, you could do a Mac Mini setup with this, or maybe you already own a MacBook, and that's actually what I'm gonna be connecting in this video. So I'm gonna wirelessly connect a MacBook Pro to this display as an option. Yes, it's 4K, yes, it's 60 Hertz, but it has all those other functions in order to be a hub in whatever room you want to place it in. It'll do Samsung DeX too. Oh, the other thing to mention, this is 32 inches. So if you are thinking of doing that iMac comparison, this is a little bit larger than the iMac. From what I understand and what I've seen, it's very, very slim. I thought we were gonna have the basic plain white one, but it looks like we have the sunset color, which is cool. This thing is incredibly thin and light, so I'm really starting to grasp what Samsung is telling me on their website when the girl had it on the coffee table. From room to room, just a display that you can put anywhere that you can interact with wirelessly. That is convenient. I mean, I'm not calling it portable, but like if a 32-inch display could be portable. As far as other items in the package, we have our power brick / power cable setup. There's also our webcam, which magnetically attaches, which I'm gonna show you in a moment, and a USB Type-C cable. You can connect devices to this and have pass-through power, so this can actually charge your notebook. Up to 65 watts, I believe, which is the reason you have a substantial power brick, so you can have a single connection point without the need for a separate power adapter for your laptop. So this right here is the little webcam contraption. I really like this implementation because you got a lot more people talking about and thinking about privacy. If it's not in use, you just pop it off. It also doesn't affect or impact your bezel, so you can have this really slim bezel all the way around the monitor. The other advantage is you can adjust it up and down, so you can get a nice angle without the need to adjust the entire monitor. So if you do a lot of video conferencing and meetings and such, then that can be useful. It also will do face tracking from side to side, as you've seen demonstrated on a number of other devices. It's a nice little addition, and the whole thing pops off when it's not in use. There's even a cap that fits on the back. So you have two options for privacy. You can either pop the entire thing off of the back of the monitor, or you can pull from the rear of the camera this little cap, which magnetically fits on. So really cool engineering and design on here. Look how slim that is. Two privacy options and a webcam when you need it, and no webcam when you don't. Now there's another cool magnetic component, which is right here. So this little piece fits into the bottom of the camera like this. And then this connects to the monitor, and that's gonna be passing power to the device without the need to actually plug anything in, which means that when you wanna remove it, it is just like one pull, and then the entire camera unit is off of the monitor. Now the monitor also has video conferencing apps built in without the need for any other device. So you can use like Google Duo right on the monitor and do your meetings or whatever you wanna do. Here's our Type-C cable. This is the remote control. So it's a very slim, kind of streamlined remote. You have your direction pad up in the top portion here. The center actually is like a soft touch material, so you can tell the difference in texture between the direction ring around the outside and the main button in the center. You have a microphone button. That's for your voice assistant. You can see the microphone in the center. Power button. Just like a television, you know, this is a smart display, so you can use it more in the direction of a TV or more in the direction of a computer monitor. You have that flexibility, but if you're using it from a little bit further away, then that's nice. Just hit the power button, go to sleep. Like I could picture this being in people's bedrooms or something like that. You also have a home button, back button, play, pause. We have these up, down toggles for volume or channels, and then dedicated quick buttons for Netflix, Samsung TV Plus, Disney Plus, and Prime Video. So you can quickly get into your different streaming services. Now this cable is a little bit funky. So it is a micro HDMI to full-size HDMI. The full size is gonna go to whatever device you choose to connect. Could be like a game console or another computer. The micro side is gonna be for the monitor side, but I assume that the incentive to do this is probably around size and keeping the thing as slim as possible. That's the only reason I can imagine you would do that. Now this is your power brick. Why would you have such a beefy power brick? Well, it's powering the monitor, which does have a processor in it, powering speakers, which are also in the monitor. The main thing here is that it's capable of passing through to your laptop up to 65 watts, hence the scale of it. Okay, let's go ahead and slide this out. Yeah, so we definitely have sunset color. You can see the very subtle accent on the front here, a little bit of a chin, and then the bezel is stupid thin. Here we have some IR probably for input from your remote control. And then on the back, you can see this herringbone pattern is what they're calling it. It has a little bit of a texture to it. You can also see the speaker units over here. This is where you're gonna see your micro HDMI port, as well as your first Type-C and then your second Type-C connector. There's also your DC 20-volt input. There is a little navigation joystick there, which I probably will never reach for because I have the remote control, which is going to probably be less irritating. Then there's the spot for connecting your stand. Oh, and then at the very top, that's where the magnetic camera will attach. This is the main part of the base. A couple of little foot pads on the bottom, one single screw. Now you can probably tell right away that this stand is gonna have some degree of maneuverability. A little bit of tilt in here, and then obviously height adjustability here. It's always a hunt looking for all the little plastic. I always feel the need to get them all off. Sometimes there's little ones that persist. This is a fairly substantial display, 32 inches. And sometimes I wonder, like when Samsung is imagining the kind of ultimate smart monitor, how they land on 32. I mean, I think it's a good decision. Apple just came out with that studio display, went with 27 inches. You know how Apple is. They're very specific about pixel density and so forth. The iMac is 24 inches. When you're considering a smart display that you're imagining as being also an entertainment device, like where you're gonna interact with a lot of multimedia, Netflix and such, and you really can utilize a little bit of extra space. So this little section right here, this is a magnetic connector. So yeah, this is really simple to set up. You just have to put in this little USB-C to magnetic 4-pin connector, and then you just reach up here, and that's it. That's it. Your camera's connected. You want to take it off, and it's off. So maybe you prefer the look without the camera poking out the top, or maybe it's privacy related, but then you get that secondary option of just covering the camera in this fashion. And then from the front, I don't know, I kind of like the look of this. Just this little cylinder above the monitor, rather than having to have a larger forehead on the entire display in order to fit in. I know you could probably do a notch as well, but I presume that this camera is going to be slightly higher quality since it is just a larger module, a little bit more flexibility with your glass and whatnot in there. No camera. Camera. Anything magnetic is satisfying. It feels like every connector ever should be magnetic at this point. Now, you knew we had to do it. Of course, there has to be a comparison. Actually, isn't quite a monitor, but instead an entire computer, which is the iMac at a much different price point, as you're aware. But we just got to show. So this is the comparison that people are making? I guess maybe it's less so in real life than online. People were posting screenshots drawing these comparisons. I guess the stand, but the chin is much larger on the iMac. The iMac, as I mentioned, it's an entire computer. They're both very thin. As you can see, you have to have this forehead here to fit this webcam in. Here we have the detachable webcam, which I think that might be a thing that Apple wants to take from Samsung, to be honest. Again, it's a weird comparison because this is not exactly a computer. Let's go ahead and boot up the monitor and then try out a couple of different scenarios. Oh, there we go. Oh, man, I kind of needed that right now. Menu music, not always there. Sound volume and brightness will be optimized by analyzing your viewing environment and the current content. An interesting choice here on a multimedia monitor that they went with a completely matte display. And in this environment, I'm noticing a lot fewer reflections, but you know how it is. Sometimes when you have that glossy finish, you get a little bit more pop to it. Trying to find that balance between reflections, imagining the type of environments this will be installed into, and productivity, kind of balancing that with entertainment and nighttime viewing, Netflix and so forth. I presume they measured those things when making this decision. This is the second version of this that I've looked at. M7 looked different than this, but it was ultimately the same concept. So you had this Samsung TV in there, which is just like a bunch of TV you can just start watching right now, just included. I don't even know what these deals are about. So that's a bonus. You have a bunch of apps, obviously, as well. Everything that you're used to and would expect to find is gonna be in here, including Apple TV+. So you got Netflix, YouTube, Disney+, Prime Video, Spotify's in there. You have a full internet browser. There's Plex if you wanna stream content. Well, this is your typical smart TV stuff because this is a smart TV just in the format of a monitor. So one of the benefits of having a TV/monitor is you get this interface that's pulled from the smart TVs, which allows you to really configure your picture profile and your picture modes. There's a Filmmaker Mode on here, and I've used this in the past on Samsung TVs. And what this does is it allows you to get a much more accurate, not really oversaturated type of image. So this could be useful for people that want to do certain productivity work. Let's try the dynamic real quick. Well, dynamic's just gonna boost things up and increase power consumption. Okay, fine. We can do that for the purpose of this video. Now, this is really important. You have a game mode, which obviously is gonna reduce your input lag and turn off some of the post-processing that would happen typically when you connect a video game system to this. Optimize your screen to improve performance when using a gaming console. The auto function is only available on the supported device, and the screen may flicker when switching to game mode. If you've ever gamed on a display that has a lot of input lag, it can be very irritating. This is gonna alleviate that. So I could just go ahead and turn this on or set it to auto, which is gonna look for that HDMI input and then switch back and forth. Oh, I got a whole like gamer UI that just came up. Show me FPS and HDR, response time settings, extreme. And it also appears to have some custom pre-configured preset for your image on games, but there's also specific ones for RPG, RTS, or FPS, or sports. I mean, it is only a 60 hertz panel, but this stuff does still help. When you're using a console, still a lot of the times 60 hertz is what you're connected to. So in that sense, if you put a PlayStation or an Xbox into this thing, at least you can be assured that it will probably function as well as whatever TV you're currently connected to. You might be gaming right now on, say, a 50 or a 65 with the same number of pixels. This might even look a little bit better depending on your viewing distance. Oh, and then the other thing, a simple game mode or dynamic mode or filmmaker mode is not enough. You can jump into expert settings and attack everything from brightness, contrast, sharpness, color, tint. This is all typical smart TV stuff, but it's nice to have. You can tinker as much as you want to tinker.
There's nothing financial about this advisor.
The speakers it's good enough, man, for what it is. The type of environment you're gonna play something like this. If you want it to really bang, and if you want some bass, you're gonna connect something else to it. To have it built in a pinch, you just need to like hook this thing up. I've been doing some tailgating. This will be a really nice tailgate display in the van. You slap it out, connect it to the hotspot on your phone. All your apps, the sporting events, YouTube, whatever you wanna watch. It's very flexible like that, any way that you wanna use it. They got Mo's favorite game, Orc Hunt. They got Kirk's Boom Machine, Ball-O-Matic for Will, Solitaire for Jack. Oh, Google Duo. Again, to be able to run it just off of your TV instead of having to connect any type of separate device. So that's gonna utilize this camera right here in your chatting. Let's go ahead and attempt to AirPlay to it. This is a configuration I think a lot of people would use something like this. This is the new MacBook Pro, so you do have a full-size HDMI port if you wanted to connect via a wire. With AirPlay built into it, you can do it wirelessly and ditch the cable altogether. Right away, 32-inch smart monitor M8 for screen mirroring. Just gonna enter the code. I could just have a video that I'm watching or some work that I'm doing that I just wanna see on a bigger display. You can see beautiful wireless mirroring and very quick to get it going. So just a single click and working together beautifully, even though we're going cross brand. You love to see it. Well, the other thing I feel like I didn't demonstrate yet is the height adjustability. This is quite a range actually. So we can go all the way up to there. We got a little bit of down tilt and a lot of up tilt. What we're looking at now is the camera on the smart monitor. And this is just a preview window to give you an idea of the difference between what you might have in your laptop and what you're gonna get through this connection instead. So I'm gonna switch over to the FaceTime HD camera that's built into this MacBook Pro. I mean, the image is not anywhere near as nice. Plus, the angle is not ideal. So I'll switch back to the slim fit camera. I can get a lot more in frame too. Plus, it has the extra adjustability of the monitor itself. So the monitor can go up and then the camera has tilt on it. So depending on whatever might be the optimal angle, we can sort of figure that out. But I actually like the width also. You can have other items in frame if you want. If you get a little bit further back from the monitor, maybe I'm presenting something or I have an object or something like that. It's just a little bit more flexibility. And then the last piece, if you're constantly using the webcam on your laptop, there's not an easy way from a hardware perspective to cover up that camera the rest of the time that you're using the computer. So if you're very privacy focused, then this also has the advantage of having the cap, which I mentioned earlier, that you can just slide over the top. It has some obvious advantages over your built-in laptop webcam. For me, this display is about versatility. It's about doing more things than your typical monitor and doing it in a very slim form factor. For somebody who's gonna have one display to do all their stuff, this might be the most kind of convenient crossover because you're able to lean back, get a lean back experience with a remote control, and of course, all of your streaming apps native without the need to go into your computer and go to a website and like play a video and then move away from it and then come back. So you're getting the whole TV experience alongside a monitor experience and all kinds of wireless ways to interact as well, even across ecosystems and into the Mac realm through AirPlay, as I showcased in the video. You're getting pass-through power over USB Type-C to charge your laptop up to 65 watts. You're also getting flexibility when it comes to the actual orientation of the displays. We're getting a little bit of height adjustment. We're getting a little bit of tilt. We're getting a few colors to choose from in order to suit the environment. We're getting a matte finish on it so that if you use it in a well-lit area or a room with a window, you're not gonna have tremendous glare coming off of it. I think it's a cool design. I especially like this camera. I like anything with magnets, as I've told you in the past, but this is an area where magnets are being used where people would want to have removability, because you might not want this thing staring back at you all the time, even with the cap. So the ability to just reach up and clip the whole thing off when not in use and have the most streamlined appearance, I think that's a bit of a breakthrough. And I think other monitor manufacturers are gonna try to copy this in some form or another. So there you have it. That is the Samsung M8 Smart Monitor, one monitor solution / smart TV to rule them all.